Hey guys, welcome to the Ultimate Ableton template for Ableton Suite 10, 11, and 12. This is the newest version, so if you already own the master template and the tools, I've taken some of your considerations. All the updates are available now, so you can go and download them if you're already an owner of the master template. So let's go ahead and get into this. These are all different categories. Well, actually, most of them are groups, but let's go ahead and start just with the drums, and we'll just work our way through all of these. And you could obviously fine tune this any way that you choose to so that it works best for you. Now, also keep in mind that you don't just have to use the template. If you've got your favorite synths, if you've got different things you like to use, bring them in. This is meant to be completely customizable to whatever your tastes or whatever your uses are. So let's get over to our drums. If we open up this group, there's actually two different groups. We've got our kick machine, then kick sample, clap, snare, and then here we've also got all of these. We've got two different hi-hats, toms, percussion, shaker, Foley sounds, texture, crashes. We've got a general MIDI kit, so if you ever wanted to drag in MIDI drum parts, sometimes people like to drag in MIDI from other songs. General MIDI is just a standardized place that MIDI files work with. And then we've got just three different audio tracks here for you to drag in loops and do whatever you want with them here. So each one of these gives you a sample selector here. So if let's just go here. I can just select the sound here. And you're probably going to want to wear headphones to hear some of this. So there's 128 different sounds, I believe, for pretty much all of these. And then obviously, if we've got a sound that we like, then we can work with drive, pitch, attack, which usually you're not going to want to play with the attack too much, but decay and sustain. You could shorten it. And then we've got mono on and off. Mainly bass and kick sounds, you want the low frequencies to be in mono. And I've actually set the bass on this to mono as well. So anything under 120 hertz on most of these in the template, you're going to have that. And then here we've got two different compressors, saturation, auto pan, reverb, stereo spread, and delay. With the EQs are kind of set up with this, so you can low cut here, high cut. You can figure out mud frequencies, so usually in here, like within this range. So you might want to lower and figure out where the mud is in a certain sound. That's really important. You can boost the high frequencies if you want. And if you want to extend or reduce the frequencies that are being boosted, you can do that. Oh, and then we got the mud Q. So if we've got this here, we could actually widen the amount, and then we could turn down. So you can make it thin or a little bit wider to remove mud. So very, very simple to use. And if we just come in here, all right, so once we have this in here, we can move this up and down. If I turn on the headphone icon, so you can scroll and find the right sound for yourself this way, or you can find the right sound by using the select here. Whatever you want, we can maybe a little makeup gain. I'll just loop this. I could add drive here. I could also add saturation. Soft clip. You know, just basic stuff. Just having everything kind of ready for you. You got reverb if you want, although reverb on kick you want to be real careful with, but obviously it's available to you. And so forth. Stereo spread. Once again, probably not recommended for your kick. And so forth. So we have that for every different sound. So here we got claps. I'll just drag this over. Let's bring this down a little bit. And so forth. So all of these and all of these give you just a wide collection of sounds to just get your drums started like right away, really, really quick. And then we've also got the kick machine. I'll just get into this briefly. But this is a 5-layer setup here. I've already got some MIDI here. And what this is several layers. So we've got the kick rack here, which we can add drive, decay, sustain, pitch envelope, which is that snap. Then we got top volume, which is another snap. And then we could even change the frequency. And then just mix that in. So that's just one layer. And then our next layer, that's our transient. And we could actually choose the transient here. Then we've got kind of our lower frequency sounds. So low. So a full selector of different like low tones. And obviously here we've got frequency and decay and attack and all that different stuff. And then we've got our high frequency sounds. Loads and loads of different sounds. And you'd be surprised how big of a difference this makes. So let's just get our low frequency sound going. And then if we get rid of the high, so we add just a little snap. We've all of a sudden got a really solid sounding kick here. And then we've got like, you know, just full sounds here. So just loads of different layers of sounds. And when you add them all together, you get some really thick sounding, not your typical kicks. And obviously each layer can be fine-tuned. You could set the volumes of each one of these differently. You could control the attack and decay of each sound, the pitch, the frequency, loads of different things. Really, really cool stuff here. So that's just the kick machine portion. And I could go deeper into it and show you like really how cool it gets. And then of course, you can add saturation or any different effect that you want on this to get a deeper sound. Also, something to keep in mind is for all the tracks, I've also set up sends and returns. So you've got delay. So if we just play this, I'm not going to get into the dub feedback because that can get a little bit dangerous, but really cool effect. We'll start with the second one. So there's like a 3/16 quarter note, which you probably won't notice that much because it's already playing on the quarter note. Short reverb, mid reverb, so you could set each of these. You got long reverb. Once again, you want to be careful with that on kicks and bass sounds. Probably not use it at all. We've got some saturation and dirt. Parallel compression. Fatten sounds up. And then we've got head candy, which we could send sounds through to just kind of bounce around the stereo field and do interesting things. And depending on what you put through it, it'll obviously sound quite a bit different. So all of these set effects are available on each track as well. So next, let's get into bass. We've got the bass machine, which is kind of like the kick machine. It's got several different layers of sounds, which is really, really powerful. So we could just have like one different sort of sound, or we could have several. So our sub layer, we can select here. And this could get really, really low, so headphones are helpful. So you can affect the low pass of the sounds, but really good subs. And then we got bass tones. So if we come over here, select different loads and loads of different sounds, 75 different sounds here. And you could layer more than one sound together. So if you want this sound, and then maybe another sound here to layer with it. And then you could reduce the volume of one. So if we got, add a little bit of dirt to the first one, we could totally do that. And then we've got a whole set of, these two are the same sounds, and this is a whole set of new sounds that can be added to that. So I'm just going to turn these off real quick so you can hear some of these bass sounds. Tons and tons of different bass sounds for you to play with here. And then we've got our clicks, which I said before, these can be really important for transients. So another thing to mention in the bass machine is if you're using Ableton 11 or 12, there's also a section here for making really great sounding acid lines. I built a whole instrument around that, and it's packed inside Bass Machine 2.5. So that is also in your Master Template Tools folder. You would find it here. Yeah, so in your bass section here, you'll see Bass Machine 2.5. Let's get on to the wobbler. Wobbler is really fun synth to automate. So I'll just kind of play with some of the knobs and show you the different tones you can get out of it. Really fun sounds. Really great just for like dirty sounding synths. You could use it for bass, you could use it for leads, whatever. But we've got this in the bass section because I think it lends itself to modern bass music, dubstep, and that sort of stuff. And the same with fill step. I wanted to make another tool that would be helpful in this range. So this is a different type of dirt. So you could get really interesting tones with this synth. Then we have sub, which I already showed you the sub in the bass machine, but I just also put it in here separately so you have a bunch of different choices for great sub bass sounds. If we come over here, the sub, it's the same thing. But I wanted to give you the option to have it separate as well, because sometimes all you're using is sub in your bass, or sometimes you want to separate the two so you have the subs playing something slightly different than what the bass is playing. Next, a collection of just background pads. We've got sampled pads, and then we've got pads for the operator that are really nice. So if we arm this track here, and we can control the attack time, the release time, the decay, long decay, short decay, frequency. We got pitch LFO. Time. And then we can choose between the different pads here. Great stuff. Pads are really important in tracks. We've also got the sampled pads here. So if I come over here, we've got 32 different pad sounds. So some really interesting stuff. Let's go to our chain selector. Filter, and obviously reverb and decay. So loads and loads of different pad sounds for you. This is meant to give you enough options where you can make full professional tracks just with this, not counting your favorite tools that you like to use as well. Next we get into synths. We got 25 synths here. Then we have our lead sounds. We've got 77 different lead sounds here. And then we've got, I think we've got like 8 or 9 lead sounds here. And then we've got our click top, just to add transient if we want it. We got FM here. This is so we can dirty up that synth if we want. Glide. And so forth. So loads of sampled leads, and then we've got some operator leads. And the delays and everything are on the group here. So you can turn these on or off. We've got 7 different chains that we can use here. So I'm just using these as the default right now, but that's why you're hearing the delays and things like that. Did I just put some interesting atmospheric sounds? They might be useful to some of you maybe not. Either way, no problem, but wanted to make some little background sounds available. And once again, this can be run through phaser, reverbs, the filter, obviously. And you can, of course, run your own effects to tighten up each of the sounds or to manipulate them any way you want. And then we've got stabs. Stabs are usually pretty important in most electronic music. And once again, the effects are here on the group. So I'll just turn a couple of these on and run you through some of the stab sounds. And over here we've got a chain selector, so we could either turn this off and just have single notes, or you can so you have plenty of options there, or you can play your own chords, of course. And each of these has macros that you can affect as well to create more interesting sounds. Let's go a little lower. Add a little FM. So loads of different stab sounds, and stab sounds are really simple sounds. It's really the effects that really bring them out. So you could come in here to the effects, and any of these single effects, you have all the macros for these as well. So you can play around with each one of these effect chains. You can turn them all on or just one on, whatever you want. I just wanted to give loads of different options for you to play around with. Straight out of the box, just turning them on, you'll get some really cool effects, but you can mess with each one of those as well. And this is just where you would drop audio samples if you got, samples from Splice or whatever, stab sounds, figure, get you in here with an audio track here. Vocals, I just created 4 vocal tracks, 2 main vocals, 2 background vocals, but of course you could duplicate this and do whatever you want. And got your basic EQ control, which is going to be most important. Some of your main processing effects as well, so you could turn any of these on and tweak them however you like. And of course, you can use whatever vocal chain you want. And this template is going to keep on building. So as users share what they're doing with other users, it's just going to get more and more and more. So the master template will just continue to get better. Everyone needs some filter sweeps, so we got that here. So go ahead and turn this on here, and then there's a few different types of noise. Or just your typical, filter builds. Great stuff. You'll have a lot of fun with this. Noise is a really important aspect of music making, so it's good to have sweeps and things like that available to you, where you've got more flexibility so you're not just doing the same old boring stuff. And then here we just have noise. So this is just audio noise. So I've got 3 different types of noise: white, pink, and brown. If we solo this. Right? Different levels of noise. Some can be used as background noise or filter sweeps with white noise. For example, we could just take this and put it wherever we want. And I could just turn on our utility here. And we could just make a really simple ramp up. Right? Little things like that can go a long way. Obviously, you can add delays and reverb and different things like that to this, or you could add maybe an auto pan. Loads of little things that you can do, but noise is really important, so I wanted to add that to the template. And then another track is for reverse effects and things like that. So once again, we have the effects rack here. I could just turn a couple of these on, and if we tab over, you'll see that I've got a bunch of different reverse sounds that are ready to go. So you can just take these. What I would do is just copy one that you want, and then come on over and you can drop it in. And now you've got a reverse sound ready to go. Right, and you could use your own reverse sounds. I just gave you, I think, let's see, 12, 15. So each of these slightly different. So yeah, so that's that. Reverse sounds are important, so I wanted to kind of have those on the default for you. Just make sure if you play anything in here, when you come back over, you're going to need to click this here. Otherwise, that track is always, as you can see, this is grayed out until I click back over here. And now it's back. It's important to copy and then just paste into the arrangement window for yourself. And you'll have a lot more flexibility to what you want to do with these clips and what you want to do with the effects. Finally, I've just given a bunch of tracks here to do synth jams. So basically, a synth jam is you just drag in any synth that you want, and then you load on a bunch of effects and things like that. And you jam with the synth, just doing whatever, just twist all the knobs and stuff. And while you're doing that, you can record on the resampling track, so it all saves to audio. And then once that is saved, you could cut out all the good bits and then drop them in here and start editing some of the sounds that you made. Because not all the sounds are going to be great, but you're going to have some really good sounds in there. So basically you jam with the synth, record what you're doing to the resample track, and then cut those samples up, and you got 3 different layers of samples that you can play with. Usually when you are making tracks, you're going to want some unusual sounds, and doing synth jams is like really the easiest and most effective way to get that job done. And then utility is just a simple, right now we just have a simple reverb tester. So all this does is just pop in white noise here. So I turn this on. So what this does is, without the reverb, it's just white noise. So white noise is the best way to really hear what your reverb settings are doing. So the diffuse, decay time, obviously. And this is on 100%, so you hear just specifically what the reverb is doing. If you want, you could obviously go 50-50 and hear what it's doing with the sound as well. I wanted to just create this tool. If you're ever in question about what a reverb sounds like, try messing with the parameters here to get the type of reverb you want. Then you could copy and paste that into a track, whether it be a vocal track or a drum track or what have you. And it's a lot easier to nail that reverb sound every time if you start with white noise as a way of testing the parameters. So just a little utility that I thought I would add. So that is the master template. On every track you have sidechain. So the sidechain settings are all set up for you, but you can just affect the threshold and the release time. And what it is doing is it's sidechaining to this here, which is just quarter notes. So just imagine like quarter note kicks. This is just a sound that you never hear, but that's what the sidechain is reacting to. If you want the sidechain to react to another track or your kicks, you just change whatever you want to trigger the sidechain for any of your tracks there. So the sidechaining is really, really simple. So that's the master template. I think it's an amazing tool to make great music, whatever electronic style you are creating. In future videos, I will be crafting tracks and showing you how I'll put together songs using this template and how fast things can move.